Now, who will replace him at Parramatta? The race is on, and here are a couple of players or some ideas that we've come up with throughout the day, and unfortunately for West Tigers fans, turn away. Jerome Luai. Now, Jerome Luai has clauses in his contract, right? So I'll come to you soon on Doggy on this. Lachlan Galvin is set to go to November 1 to the open market. Hasn't re-signed with the West Tigers, so he will be off contract at the end of the year. Tyrone Wishart has been a great success in Melbourne and could be an option. And Bevan French for the Wigan Warriors has got the man of steel and was man of the match in all of their big wins this year and all the trophies that they won over in Super League. Doggy, Luai, talk me through this one.
If you're a West Tigers fan, you would be most concerned about the relationship that Luai formed with Mitchell Moses last year in State of Origin. They became solid mates. They played the last two games together. New South Wales was 1-0 down. We won 2, we won 3, we win the series. They became solid mates. So clearly Mitchell, if called upon, would be there to try to help lure Jerome away from the Tigers. He's off contract, as of November 1 this year.
What's the clause for Jerome?
End of 26. So both he and Galvin are available if they hit the open market as of November 1.
Wasn't his reasoning to go to the Tigers to stop living in the shadow of another playmaker and to own a team?
Correct. Let me stress, Gordy, that the Eels haven't come out and said we are chasing him, so we're speculating very early.
It's just an idea from you, is it?
Absolutely, yes.
Are the Eels a chance? So Blaze Talangi, Lockie Galvin and Ethan Saunders, right? So they're three young Parramatta kids. Are they a chance of investing in their 17 and 18 and 19-year-olds and putting all the money and hoping that one of their good young kids come through and doesn't go play at another club?
In fairness to Parramatta, they were in a bit of a bind with Sanders and Talangi, weren't they? Because they thought they had Moses and Dylan Brown locked up long term. And for Ethan Sanders, you know, when the Raiders were chasing him, the opportunity to play first grade potentially earlier was, you know, that was probably more important than the money that was available. So that's the problem for a club like that, to invest in the future when someone can come and pinch them. I'd like to see Parramatta, though. You know, there are players out there. Wishart would be a great example of a guy who's looking for that opportunity to step up and be either a 5'8" or a hooker. I think he could handle being in the starting team in both. Your young bloke, Pezzett, at the Storm, he's how's
his injury going?
A super talent.
He's all right. He re-signed with Melbourne. Only in the off-season.
How many clauses did you put
He's got a clause in there. If Jerome stays at the club and re-signs, he's officially off contract, Jonah. But, I think Wishart's a good option for them. Do you think that they will make it?
When does Hughes make his call? Is that now?
I think he can November 1 this year as well, I'm pretty sure. So, it's going to be an interesting November.
I think, though, the difference here, and for Parramatta, that potentially it's a safer bet, isn't it? Like, if you're going for these players, they're not on top dollar at the moment, and even if you were to double their wage, they're still not going to be anywhere near what the Knights have paid for Dylan Brown. I just think it's a safer bet.
So what did he leave?
Go for?
He left $1 million, didn't he?
Beg your pardon?
He left $1 million. So you got 2,500. There you go. Well, you got two.
But you don't necessarily have to outlay that on your next 5'8", but you could certainly give one of these guys a good upgrade and put the heat on.
If I look at this now, I think Luai, I couldn't see Luai, although I think it's a good idea and a possibility if the Tigers don't go so well this year and Luai gets second thoughts. That's an option. But Galvin, being a Parramatta junior, he's got the same agent as Mitchell Moses. He is a great player in the making, and that to me makes more sense. And he's obviously not quite comfortable at the Tigers because they've offered him upgrading extensions and he hasn't taken it. And again, I go back to the agent, same agent, right? Do we see this as a big chance? Or?
Well, he's resisting, Braith. They're desperately hoping to nail him down before November 1, but at the moment the kid is resisting, which doesn't mean he's going to leave, but it's an early indication that he's still a little bit unsettled about his surroundings. You mentioned the agent, obviously Mitchell Moses' agent. Isaac Moses is also the manager of Lachlan Galvin. Parramatta have got about 1 to 1.2 million up their sleeve through the Dylan Brown money for the next few years. So Parra's got money, they've got Moses, they've got a manager, and they've also got a kid who seems a bit unsettled. Yeah. Draw your own conclusions.
What about Gus? Gus has been talking up Galvin big time. Is he interested? Do you think the Bulldogs can make a play at him as well? Or?
Gus will always be interested, and he'll always keep his cards close to his chest.
How could you not be interested in Lachlan Galvin? Like, I think when he's on the market, you go back to him potentially wanting to see what's out there. Why wouldn't he? Like, if he's not the best young talent in the game, he's up in the top 2 or 3. And there'll be a lot of clubs coming for him. I'd be shocked, though, with the Bulldogs, they've already got Burton as a 6.
They need a genuine 7, don't they? Sort of similar
That's what
to
they
a few
need.
other clubs, right? Yeah, it's an interesting one.
Do we think the day is coming where all halfback playmakers who are gun players are going to start at 1 million and move north?
It's looking that way.
Is that the way it's moving in rugby league? A bit like a quarterback in the NFL.
I go to junior footy a lot, and every kid wants to wear number 1, like they do. And if you look at the NRL, everybody wants to play 1 because that's the glamour position at the moment. But like when I was a kid, it was 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Like it was 6 and 7. They were the best 2 positions that you could play. You were the best 2 players, and I think now it's it's got to swing back to the number 7.
I think, though, with a problem, and I've heard it mentioned before, and I've certainly seen it over the years watching a lot of junior footy, is that there's so much structure in junior... No, but there is, Gordy, and it's a problem because there's so much structure with the young halves at the moment that come through the game. It takes a lot of their natural talent. When you're a young player, you could play all that eyes-up footy and you basically went out and you weren't really coached, you just went out and played. And now almost every system, I'm talking right across the country, they watch the big games and there's so much structure on these kids that they're probably overthinking their role instead of just getting out there and playing free-flowing footy.
Totally agree. Now, from left field, you've gone with Bevan Frenchie, Doggy. Just quickly, he was great. He's been great in the Super League and over in Vegas. He set it alight. Would he come back to his old club in the halves?
Well, he's a Parramatta player, as you know, Braith, and we saw in Vegas what he did. He was also, I think, man of the match in the Super League Grand Final last year, with which Wigan won. He's got a lot of friends still at Parramatta. He does have a long-term deal, though, at Wigan, but what's a long-term deal worth these days? And generally, Braith, you're a player manager, you understand that if a gun player, and this bloke is, goes to England, there's generally clauses in there that if the NRL come knocking, I can go back home again. But he would be a brilliant 6.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how he would come back from Super League. I think it's a fascinating rugby league story. He played in the outside backs here, for Parramatta. Goes over there and is the best player in the competition as a half. Like he's come on leaps and bounds.